Hello, and now this is the final video of implementing a PDF reader with Vue 3 and Nuxt 3. Okay, so in this video, what we're gonna do is implement the real-time loading for UI UX, and this is the series of steps I'm gonna follow, right? So I'm gonna emit a URL event and then pass the URL to the PDF render component, call actions to show this loading screen, and use a watch props to set a set interval to display the PDF render after a particular time. This is to give the user the intent to now we are showing is a PDF, right? Okay, so if I now go back to the code here, to the code, like so, okay? So the whole point of this is to first emit that event, meaning we're going to emit the event. We're not going to do this. So in fact, from the low dynamic URL PDF, I just want to emit that event, okay? An event that I define here. So yes, previously I defined a couple events here, but after all, I just want is to emit is this event, which is the PDF URL. Okay, so with PDF URL, the data that you're going to emit is a PDF URL. Okay, and this is a string. So PDF URL. Okay. All right. So here on submit, okay, we're going to emit is that data. So there is no loading percent as well, not at all. I'm going to emit is this data, okay, dot value. So PDF here from that's right. Okay, so now in the page here, I'm going to listen to that event from the low dynamic URL. Okay, let me get rid of all of the code that we're not going to use it, right? In the PDF URL property, so once I listen to this event, where we can follow here something, a convention like on URL here, on URL, okay, and you rename this on URL, and if you go to the page here, so once you listen that on URL, you're gonna call is a particular event where you're going to update the URL, meaning that we can get rid of all of this for now, and here you're gonna say, hey, we're going to even get rid of all of this reactive reference and start to define what do we want here. Okay, so at the beginning I just want is to define is this tag. Okay. Okay, so load dynamic URL like this, and listen to that event. And listen to that event that emit that. So here you're going to define is a PDF URL variable, reactive variables, that would be empty. Okay, and once you listen to this event, so what you're gonna do is to URL PDF URL will be equal to the URL that I'm getting from that. Okay. Okay, cool. Meaning that at the first time, I just want to show this component if there is no, if this is empty, right? So we can assign this as null for that. So if this is empty, and once you get that, so once the user put that URL, okay, now it is time to show is this. Otherwise, you're gonna show this. So you're gonna show the PDF render that is only available in the client side. Okay. So if we, for example, so let me get rid of this. Okay. It says now, so if, for example, and just make a quick test on the browser, take a look at the browser, and at here, so if I reload this, I should be able to look at this. That's right. So when the user put the HTTP, the URL, okay, and now I should be able is to show the another component. So you say property PDF was accessed during rendering but is not defined on instance. Property PDF, and because after all is PDF URL, my friend. Okay. Now it is done. And you should be able to load that. Okay. That's great. That's great. So, meaning that this step is done. So this step is done. Clean. This is done. And now we have is to pass the URL to the PDF render. Because what happened here is that we're loading that in static URL. So here, back to the code. Okay. Now I'm going to pass that URL. So I need to define a subproperty called URL, where I'm going to pass the PDF URL to that. And inside of the PDF render, Okay, this is where I'm going to define a property here. A property called here define props. That's right. That I will define this as using a const props here. So define props where being TypeScript friendly, we can is using this same terminology here, or the same type here. So this is an object where we're going to define here is the URL, that this must be the type of the URL. Okay. So this prop is what I'm going to pass here at the PDF source. Okay. So if I replace that PDF source here, which is PDF now, PDF dot URL, okay. So now once the component is mounted, this is what it's supposed to do. So I'm supposed to read this value, okay, that comes from the props dot URL dot value dot value. This is interesting because after all this is a reactive reference. That's right. Because this must come from the import view types of ref, and here is this is a reactive reference, and right below here now we have access to the value property. So this is what we're gonna pass here. Now it says, hey, you know what, this path string is not a valid according to him. Okay. Source. So it's here where I'm going is to perform instead of doing this XHR, which allows us to this asynchronous programming in JavaScript. I'm gonna rely is on Axios, by the way. So here's our code for Axios. Okay. So we can get rid of this. So here's our code for Axios, right? And now here let me import is the Axios model from Axios, okay? And it's in here what I'm going to define is this. So once the component is mounted, okay, or another thing you can do is instead of doing this, we can is listen or watch a prop in view 3. Okay. So here what we can define is a watch for that. So instead of doing this, instead of only importing the type, you're going to define also the watch like this. So instead of defining it unmounted, I'm gonna use the watch for that, and I want to and I want to listen this for this. I want to listen for the props.url. So once that change, okay, so once that change, now I want to do something here with the new value and the old value here, and this is when I'm going to perform this code right below. Okay, so here's when we're going to perform is first the call, or in this case the actions, where now here we get is the new value, or in this case here, which is the new value dot value. Okay, in this case must be a URL only as URL. So this must be only a string here. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. By the way, this must be only is a reactive reference of a string, just like that. Where here I'm passing is only that here as a URL string. Okay, perform the get me this as an array buffer, which is very important, and on the download progress, this is when we're going to import is the loading component. So here the loading component, something like this, the loading component, where here this loading component will be show here. We're going to define is a reactive reference, call here the cons, okay, that this variable will show this loading screen is loading. Is a reactive reference set to false at the beginning, okay. Here is when we're gonna set this dot value as true at the beginning, okay, and then perform the actions here. And now I'm going to pass this loading percentage, okay, meaning is a variable that I need to define here, okay, which is right below here as a const loading percentage. That is a reactive reference that start at 0, okay, and the same for this loading percentage is a reactive reference at 0 dot value, because it's a reactive reference at 0, okay. And now, okay, on the loading component here, the loading component, we're going to receive is the progress for that. So the progress property will receive is the loading percentage, and that's all, okay, at least for the loading, okay, at least for the loading. So once you load that, okay, you already get the response. Now it is time to pass this, which is this line of code here, this set of instructions, where you're gonna here pass this the response.data, okay, which is response.data here, and you're gonna wait for that promise. So the PDF source here is that value, meaning that this is what you're gonna use to load that. So it's the PDF source that you're gonna use for that. So now you have to update that property, meaning is this, the PDF source, okay, the PDF source that at the beginning is null or empty. And now this is when you're gonna update this. The PDF source with that value, which is the doc data. And in our case is the response here, which now is an array buffer. And that'll be all. Yeah, there's some unexpected token here. Oh, because I need to define this inside of the watch function, of course. And there you go. Okay. So let me rerun the dev server here. Now once it compiles and transpiles the code, there is no error. Great. And now if I navigate to the browser, if I go back to the browser here, and then I load here, do the loading. Okay. I know it performed the HTTP request. So let me now take a closer look at how it is doing things. That's right. So the PDF is actually getting the proper PDF. All right. So now we're getting the proper PDF in this component. And is this, but it's like never called that. It seems like it never called that. Why do you expect this to be an object? Give me this string. You know what? Give me this as a string. Okay. So I just want you to watch that. Okay. All right. Let me reload this. So when I load this, for some reason it's not triggering that. It's not triggering that, which to me is quite puzzling, because allegedly it's supposed to do, right? Allegedly we're supposed to do this, isn't it? So it seems like the lazy is true is okay. So let me add this another option here, immediate true. Okay, so go back here, that's right. But if I navigate to this, all right, and you load all the necessary assets, and there you got it. Of course, because that was so fast, it hasn't the opportunity to actually load that. It doesn't have even the opportunity to load that. And in fact, the loading screen is now right at the bottom. That's what happened. Okay, but we successfully load that as expected. Okay, I successfully load this, so I pass this URL to that, and then I call actions here to show the loading screen. And now it is time to do something interesting. So I'm gonna show this loading screen, set a certain interval to later on display that. So the whole idea here is use a watch, use a watch and a set interval. So once you're done loading the PDF, once that is done, okay, especially here, so once it reached to 100%, give at least 1 second so we can fade that and actually show the PDF. Okay, all right, so let's do it. So use watch props with set interval to display PDF render like that. And now back to the code here. Back to the code. Yeah, so now back to the code. So if I do things like, for example, set an interval for that. Set an interval for that. It is funny because now it loads that at the bottom. But I want to show this at the top, my friend. You know, I want to show this at the top. By the way, this must be something that has more C index. So if I want to navigate, or if I want to look all the Tailwinds and C index here, okay. Yeah, the C index. I don't know why you're not loading that. So let me reopen here. That's right. Now you get it. So right now what I'm looking is at the Tailwind presets, where here I just want to take a look at the C index. C index. C. Oh my God. C. The index. No. Or elevation here. Shadow, opacity, screen, border radius, transition, mean width, height, spacings. So this is a spacings, font size, font family, font weight, letter spacing, line weight, screen, shadows. particularly not shadow, but is more like a transition with mean. Interesting that it doesn't show the C index. Okay, no problem. Go to the Tailwind CSS. Here at the documentation, specifically at the C index, let me add this C20. Okay, so C20 for that. Okay, and with that little change in the code, and now come on, now I should be able to see that. Okay, so that's good. And let me load this. Exactly, that's right. And this is exactly the behavior that I want from this. So my question here is that because I'm adding this C index, and for some reason is you're adding is for some reason if for some reason this actually has more C index, which is funny because I set this with more C index, of 40. Okay. So because it has no effect. Okay, because by default this is relative. So if I indicate that this must be a relative object, relative element, exactly. So I need to specify that this is a relative element here. All right. So after this, okay, after this, I just want us to now remove this element from here. Okay, and what we can do here is wrap all of these elements in a div and say things like, hey, you know what, its loading is false. You're gonna only show this if its loading is false. Otherwise, the else, you're gonna show them properly. Okay, so what happened here is that the first time this will be false, okay, and after you don't load this, don't load in progress, after you don't load that, which is in here after this, now you're gonna do some trick here. So like set timeout here, okay, where now here you're going to update the value of its loading dot value equal to true after 1 second. Okay, so if we navigate to this URL, by the way, and you load this, now you should be able to show that. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So after that, okay, I would like to wrap. So in fact, that's all. That's all we need here for our example. Yep, that's all. That's all. So with that, that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.